In this lesson, we will learn the use of step tracks. First, I create a step track by pressing Shift plus New. I choose to step track, and I can create multiple tracks. Once completed, I press Close. I now load a VSTI. In Zone 1, I select the line L5 Instrument. I press the encoder to open the VSTI. I choose in the list of the instruments Lindrum. I confirm pressing Load. Zone 2 represents the track. Zone 4 represents the contents of the step track. For example, I program this step track and I select the second track. The content of Zone 4 dynamically changes. Previously, I turned on 4 of the 16 steps. As we can hear, no sound is played. Why? Because the rhythmic sounds are only on certain notes, so I'll change the default note. I choose the line L3 of Zone 1, and I change the default note on C3, which corresponds to the bass drum. Now I change the programming steps. Perfect. I have finished my first track. Now, on the second track, I want to use the same instrument. This time, I will turn the encoder to choose the Lindrum previously loaded. I set the default note of this track to D3, which corresponds to my snare drum. I now change my programming. I have my snare enabled. I start the operation with the third step track that I have created. I assign the same instrument. This time, though, I still press the L1 Zone 4, and I press 1 of the pad, which has the effect of changing all the active steps. In order to change all the notes of the steps, I perform the same operation in Zone 3. I hold the L1 button and I change my note. As can be heard, the steps are now playing a hi-hat. I can also change the settings for each step. I will, for example, change the note of several steps. The step tracks have many options. I change the velocity of all the steps by holding down the L3 button. Then I change the velocity of some of the steps. We can also use the rolls. In Zone 4, I select the line L3 and I activate the roll of some steps. Then I get a roll. The step tracks also work with synthesizers. I will create for this fourth step a new VST track. I choose Oddity, which is a plugin delivered with Rhizome. I program a few steps. In order to isolate my trail, I select the line Solo in Zone 2. I select the online program in Zone 1 and change the preset synth Oddity. I will now change the settings of some of the steps. For this step, I select the timeline and I change its duration. I change the octave. I change the note. I do exactly the same for the other steps. I turn off the solo to listen to the sequence with my rhythm.